we're gonna hear from the professor perspective and how they're really leading the way, because at the end of the day, those are the folks who are making the direct connection with the students. And we're gonna hear from them as they maneuver through new technologies, teaching methods, coordination, and everything in between. We are joined by Ezenwayi Amaechi from Johnson & Wales University, Kunal Mankodiya from University of Rhode Island, and Arlene Nicholas from Salve, Regina. And I believe all of you are here. Thanks so much for joining us. It's going to be exciting to hear your perspective as we've talked about and heard from different perspectives, whether through the kind of the higher admin institutional angle, people who are developing workforce solutions. And in previous months, we've also heard from educators, but much more from the primary and secondary school perspective. So it's great to have you all here. And I think how we should start is just, if maybe we can just quickly introduce ourselves, name what your focus is on, and how you're dealing with, how you're just initially dealing with and how you've been dealing with the disparate learning environment that we've been facing for the past 6 months. So Arlene, I will pass to you first, and then we'll move on along the line.
Hello. Well, thank you. I'm Arlene Nicholas from Salve, Regina, and for the past 10 years, I've been the program director for the MBA and the MS of Innovation and Strategic Management. I'm actually moving now into transitioning to be in care of the 5-year students. I've had a nice 10-year run with that, and Toonie was thankfully our guest speaker, our keynote speaker at a conference we held last year in Newport, Rhode Island, and I am so glad that we held it last year, because this year the people are having to all go virtual, and I would have not wanted to handle that. But just like what we've done with schools, we've transitioned, and I think we're probably a little bit easier at the higher ed level, because most of our schools, I know Salve's had a learning management system in place for years. Not that high schools and grade schools didn't have some form of learning management, but we've had it in place, not that everybody was using it. At the grad level, yes, because our grad courses are offered in the business area. You can do the complete degree online. So most of us have had training. We use Canvas as it was, and but when March happened and everything went to everybody's going to use technology. Well, the undergrad teachers, of course, they've all had Canvas as a course shell. Maybe not everybody had embraced it or used it, but they started workshops right away while they could on campus in the early part of March when people were on spring break. And then they transitioned right away into virtual training, and people picked it up pretty well. And I gotta say, just like industry was happened with businesses, it's made everybody be a lot more creative. It really has. I mean, we had one course that was creativity. In fact, Dr. Myra Edelstein was running it, and they had planned a tour on the Oliver Hazard Perry, and oh no, then here comes COVID. They did a virtual tour. Now, maybe not as fun as going down to the docks and getting on the OHP, but they did it as a virtual tour. So everything just picked up and moved over, and great lesson for our students to learn. This is what you do and how you have to adapt.
Wonderful start. Thank you. And Ezenwayi, how have things been for you?
Very well. We try to manage it very well. Well, I am Ezenwayi Amaechi. I am a professor of entrepreneurship at Johnson & Wales University, as well as the faculty consultant at the Entrepreneurship Center. I am also a founder and executive director of a micro enterprise social entrepreneurship organization. It's a mission-based organization that focuses on, we've adopted a holistic approach, and that focuses on the physical, spiritual, emotional, and all this well-being of women and youth in developing nations. When it comes to the classes, it was just like Arlene mentioned, was very interesting to have to deal with, like make the switch right away. But somehow I felt it coming. But I prayed that I would at least see my students, once before, so that they can see me first and get to know me before we moved online. And I remember the first week, whenever we met together, I would say something like, okay, when in case we go online, this is where you find stuff. We have a learning management system through Blackboard, but we call it internally, we call it ULearn, so the students were able to use that. And I I adopted using it for a long, since I started teaching. So I would always put things and have students go use that system. And so I loaded everything there already, but I wanted to show them where to go and find things. And so that was the solution, that helped with that. But the biggest thing, I didn't use that because I taught on ground. So I didn't use the video conferencing or the video aspect of it. And I didn't know that it had it. And that was one thing that kind of scared me. Because the reason it scared me is because I wanted to continue to have structure for my students. I didn't want to just leave them all of a sudden. Now they have to go and read things and not have the direction of that, continuation of things that they're used to getting when they come in classroom. So one of my students, one of my colleagues, I told her I would never stop talking about this, told me about this video conferencing that we had, that is a capability that we have with this U-Learn that we have. And so as soon as I introduced it to the students, first of all, I was happy. And then I introduced it to the students, and one of the things I heard from them throughout the term was, thank you for this, because it provided structure for us. It helped us, to just come in here and seeing you and being able to ask you questions, and also continue to almost make it feel like we're still in the classroom, even though we're not. Was very helpful. So I'm glad for that that tool within the system.
Glad you started adopting it. And Kunal, want to introduce yourself and share a little how things are going?
Sure, Ravi. I'm Kunal Mankodiya. I'm an associate professor of biomedical engineering here at the University of Rhode Island, and I have been teaching a class called Engineering Entrepreneurship for last 2 years, and also there is another course which is a wearable Internet of Things that is going for around 4 years. And highly project-based course, but at the same time we are trying to blend a bit entrepreneurship with the little business plus kind of engineering combined together. So now in this fall I'm going to teach an BME capstone design a course, which is almost like a program that you are teaching as a capstone because it's a final year project. If we're coming back to the challenges what we are facing at the university level and what we have been kind of trying to address those challenges, I would say we struggled a lot in the beginning when we had to switch to online in March, and a lot of problems. We were not kind of knowing how we do normally online teaching, because we are normally in-person teachers and instructors, and it is very difficult to handle it in the beginning. But over the time, we started to learn a lot that how you can actually deliver lectures in a better way. That is one thing. Second thing, how do you manage the materials in the background now? It is a little different that you have to use. So what we are doing at URI, and I'm speaking in general right now, of course, everybody would have their individual approach. So from URI has adopted the hybrid model from fall. So we are starting our first day on September 9th. And it will be interesting part is that the each and every classroom, we know the size of that. So only and we know that how many number of students are able to go inside. So essentially, the reason it is called hybrid is that we will be having some students will be going in person, and of course it will be announced that who is going in and who is going to be attending virtually. And in order to do that, they have invested, particularly we have invested, I would say administration over here invested, pan tilt cameras. So essentially the idea is that even though students who are sitting back home, they still feel like they are actually getting a quality education. So that is something which is happening in the virtual plus in-person mode. My course is going to be project-based course, so we're gonna be definitely impacted a lot, but we are doing a lot of management in terms of how students would be able to come to the lab, and then they would be able to reserve a table. So essentially now it is all about co-working space, which we are seeing in the entrepreneurship, right? So now we have to adopt that model over here. and how you can actually reserve a table, and then you will be doing your project works over there. And then again, you will have a time limit that this many people only at a time can be in a room, right? So assuming that if you have a 6-table room, then only 2 tables would be occupied, and all rest of the tables won't be occupied, because you will have essentially around 6 or 7 people, or 8 maximum, will be sitting in that room. So a lot of things are changing. But Mask Up Rhode Island, I think I would have to shout out, that is a really good move we have made in Rhode Island. And I think more or less I would say that everybody is following, whoever is coming to the campus. We are all kind of with the mask just next to ourselves, and we have built that culture now, and we want to promote that culture at URI, that mask up culture that is going to be there. And I think everybody's wearing masks. People will be, I won't say forced to, but at least they would be encouraged to wear masks. But I think it is our policy that everybody will be wearing masks as soon as you enter campus, and that is going to continue in fall, and we are, I think, very much hopeful.
Yeah, and I like how you brought up this new change in the approach, because I mean, Ezenwayi and Arlene, you're both entrepreneurship and business professors. There's also, I mean, projects are integral, team projects, learning from other businesses, doing research in that way is so important. And I guess the one thing that the students have at URI might have to do is they can't wait till the day before to start tinkering and spend all night in the lab. But I want to hear from the other folks. How are you adjusting the approaches to projects and learning? Obviously, the class can be online. What about beyond that? How are students engaging with that experience?
I think we've got an easier job than Kunal does when you have to have these physical projects that are going to be created, but they are doing what they're going to call, at least for the school, the classroom, they call it a dual modality. So they will have they couldn't do this in March. They've been doing this all summer, where they've got all these cameras set up. So just like what they're going to do there, you can have you have half of your class, or depending on the legal number in Rhode Island, in the classroom space. And then another part of the class will be watching it, and you could see the squares like we're looking at one another now. And then you flip it either the next day, depending if you're on your 2 days or 3 days, and you're going to partial out the classes, and even if it has to rotate. So they're going to make sure they've got that spacing, and then you can have that in campus and off campus experience. For projects, it's a bit easier with business because we've got these virtual teams that can be there. And even for the capstone course last semester, they have a panel that comes in and judges what the students have done. And they were able to, the students were doing a virtual team like we're doing now, made their presentation, they had it all timed up. And then they had the panel, like the Shark Tank people, judge why this, why that, and we had an audience. So that's a little easier, but they still plan to do some coming into the classroom with a certain number of people, and like Kunal said, you're gonna have a certain group of teams. And actually in the capstone courses with projects, they'll only have up to 5 or 6 on a team. So if they've got space enough, they'll be able to go there, and these students research online and they do Google and everything anyway. They've got a virtual team meeting environment. So it's, I'm glad we've got the technology, thank goodness. I'm glad that people are aware how to do it. And we talked about it yesterday a little bit. Let's make sure the students know how to do it. We can't overlook that. Students think, oh yeah, they're all techie, they're all on. Yeah, but they're not technical as far as some of the getting the right research and how you can make a presentation or a voiceover even on PowerPoint and make a video. So some of those things they're learning it though, they're getting onto it, and it's a great experience for them.
I am going to pick up from where Arlene just left off, which is, everything she said, ditto to it. But in terms of, the making sure that the students, I want to start from there, that they kind of know what to do. Not that I haven't been intentional before, but, before they can come and ask me questions, but now, like, they may not remember anything. So I'm very intentional in, the instructions that I give to them. For example, she mentioned like the voiceover on PowerPoint. There is, voice thread. That's one way that they can do that. Then even on a regular PowerPoint, now you can record and have that going. And so I make sure that I give them instructions, and even being able to open up a YouTube channel for themselves. Those little things that we didn't used to kind of think of before. Now we do have to make sure that that they have access to it and they know how to use it, and you provide detailed instructions for them to make that happen. We also have, I am teaching freshmen this year, so we will have that rotation that Arlene mentioned, and then I am also teaching other levels. Actually, I'm teaching all levels, and so those will be remote. I mentioned how I used we had to be able to help with the structure. The students, we had the in class time, so we met during our class time online or remotely. And so the same thing will be happening this fall, where I will record my courses ahead of time, because then they would read it, watch it, listen to it, however it is that they get access to it, and then they can come to class with questions. We can all, and that question that they come to class with, will also help other people who may not be thinking about the same questions, but might be like, oh, that's a good question, that would help me out. So those are some of the tools that we plan to use. We also have access to Zoom, which I'm excited about. And so there'll be breakout sessions that will be happening with that within the class, because you teach a class and then you have them in groups, right, in the classroom. So we'll do the same thing in Zoom. We have breakout sessions while we're still there. And then, so I kind of come up with different ways of engaging them and checking in with them and making sure that they're not just staring at the screen for a long time, because then you tend to pick up your phone, or you want to do anything other than just pay attention and listen.
Yeah, very much so. And part of me wants to go in that direction, but I'm noticing we already only have 5 minutes left.
I just wanted to mention the Zoom idea. The breakout rooms is really
please.
important, because in March when we were using Canvas, we didn't have that. And I missed that. And that's how I've always had the flipped classroom, where I've got everything up online, like the slides, these quizzes and everything before. And I wanted to go in the classroom and have them say, okay, let's apply this, and have them work in little teams. But now we'll have that opportunity, because the school's going to do Zoom, but Canvas has also jumped up to say, oh yeah, we're going to have breakout rooms in September. We'll be there for you. So.
Yes, and thank you. I want to get to, because we only have a few minutes left. Thinking about the future and the continued opportunities, and the opportunities that you're realizing might continue to emerge in this space, especially opportunities for more innovation. I know we heard from a couple people earlier today. I'm not sure if all of you are on, how can we have, convergence of online learning modules and, communities for supporting students in higher education. What are things that you all are thinking could be really helpful, especially as we realize that this pandemic is going to have, permanent impact on our approach to education? Anyone? This is an open conversation.
So I'm thinking, if I understood your question correctly, I'm thinking project-based learning. I am thinking, design thinking type process, just bringing all those and making it real. Literally, like you just said, reimagining how might we do things, or do certain things? How might we, how can we be able to continue to make things happen, even in this new environment, or this, I've heard people call it new normal, next normal, transitional normal, whatever normal it is. You just being able to reimagine how we've done things in the past. And so, yes, project-based learning is coming into play. Design thinking is coming into play. And then, like I mentioned before, I'm so looking forward to, what happens, like after this term or after this semester. I would like to kind of come back and have this conversation again and say, we learned this, we learned that, and no, this does not work, this doesn't work, and this may work, type thing. So I'm gonna let other people talk.
Yeah, I can just add one more point here, is that the I taught a small, weekend course to the 8-year-old to the 14-year-old, like 13-year-old. It was teaching them coding, and we were kind of, bunch of students with me, and we kind of taught that. The interesting part was that we actually sent over those boards, the coding boards to them, like the microcontrollers and all this kind of thing, and we delivered to them. And Essentially, whole idea was that go on a Zoom, and then we kind of giving them instructions and teaching them. And you won't believe it, they literally started enjoying it, and every time they have something new to show us on that board, because it was very interactive board, and they can show they have programmed something and everything like that. So taking this example, what my feeling the future is looking like is that I think new products will come out in the market, and we are even already seeing that students, how they can even create a small labs in their own room, right? And it could be anything, could be a design side of that, could be on engineering side, arts and crafts and all this kind of thing. My feeling is that the people will be continuing online mode, but still at the same time they'll be communicating with experts and mentors, and kind of still doing hands-on work. And I like this pod, kind of structure too. And I don't know, the community-wise pods would be interesting in that case. Is that how students can create their own pod community, and in that one they would kind of only limit number of people working together, and that is something that would be interesting in the future, that how you can limit number of people interacting, but at the same time still you continue the innovation and teaching together. So a lot of new things we'll see. I mean, we can just imagine right now, but there would be so many new things will be coming.
And I wonder, you three all teach such creative students. Are you seeing, or could you imagine a shift in whether the inventions, the products, the businesses that they're devising, are these being shaped by the COVID-19 experience?
Absolutely. I have currently at least one team who are working on a smart mask. We never heard about this mask until March. Everybody started to think about mask. So again, in order to so you can see that youth already started to think about these new products in the market based on what customers look for. Even they are users, right? They themselves are users, so they know which area. There would be already a lot of things on the auto sanitization and all this kind of thing what we are seeing. I feel that also every industry is facing that. I'm sorry. Every industry is facing that problem.
I just saw in the news today, it wasn't from my students, but now they've got children's toys that they found the market where they've got the headset, the little plastic headset. And so like the children can look like mom and dad working from home. They got the coffee cup, they've got the little plastic cell phone, and they've got little plastic, computer video. These are for like baby toys. So they can act like mom, even like the little baby workout weights, because they see mom and dad working at home. So it's amazing how somebody's out there thinking about these markets that can happen.
Yeah, I remember talking to, I haven't seen, looked into that, but I remember having this conversation with my students in the spring. I remember saying to them, I am looking forward to seeing the products, and services that will come out as a result of this. I said to them, think of, 2008 recession, like the Great Recession, what happened afterwards. And so I know that, it's not a good situation that we're in right now, given what is happening. However, the things that will come out of it, because we need to adjust to, again, the new normal, next normal, transitional normal that we're in right now.
Well, awesome. I think that's a great place to leave it off. I'm really excited to see, and hopefully we can have all of you back. And actually, I know maybe we can even showcase some of the highlights from some of the students, because maybe they're bringing in solutions that we haven't even thought about yet. But want to thank you all, Kunal, Ezenwayi, Arlene, and want to thank everyone who joined us this morning and into the early afternoon for Venture Cafe, education, and the economy. And we will see you all next week We continue to do these things, districthallprovidence.org. Any last words from anyone else in the group?
I just want to thank this A team and everyone who's been on today. It's just been, I can't believe 3.5 hours just went by that fast. But Arlene, Kunal, and Ezenwayi, say it for me one more time.
Ezenwayi.
Ezenwayi. Oh, that's much easier than I'm trying to pronounce it. We have a recorded version coming your way. So Avi will, as soon as he cuts it up, edits it a little bit and uploads it to YouTube, he will be sending you the link. So feel free to use it, share it. Come back to our YouTube channel. It's way better than Netflix. We have over 100 amazing sessions on our YouTube channel. So binge and enjoy. And thank you all for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for organizing. Thanks so much.
Awesome. We'll be in touch soon.
Awesome.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day.